Hello and welcome to Sports Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa. I am Mikhail Tinubu, and it's a morning of stories related to COVID-19. As we all know, the pandemic is still very much around. Many sporting institutions are having to find ways of dealing with it, and some are even making mandates to enforce vaccination. But first of all, we start in Nigeria. The Athletics Federation of Nigeria, AFN, has voiced alarm about the latest twist in the alleged illegal drug use of Blessing Okagbare, a Nigerian sprinter based in the United States. Okagbare was suspended on the eve of her semi-final race at the Tokyo Olympics after testing positive for a human growth hormone in an out-of-competition test on July 19th. She has been charged with 3 offenses by the Athletics Integrity Unit, AIU. The 32-year-old was later found to have tested positive for recombinant erythropoietin EPO, a prohibited chemical that raises red blood cells count. She's also been charged with obstructing investigation of the AIU. Okagbare failed to comply with a formal requirement to produce pertinent papers, records, and electronic storage devices to the investigation, according to the AIU. Okagbare, a silver medalist in the long jump at the 2008 Olympics in Beijing, had won her 100-meter heat in Tokyo before being suspended from the Games. The Delta State sprinter is said to have disputed all of the claims leveled against her. I have Stanley Ikawu with me this morning to discuss this development. Stanley.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining us. This story continues to gather legs, and in the past, we have heard that the investigation into drug-related, these doping scandals usually do not involve athletes going to prison. If a conspiracy is found, then others would go to prison, but not the athlete. But here, Okagbare seems to be in danger of that very thing.
Now, first things first, I think, as you see, ignorance is not an excuse in law. As a professional, there are rules, there are guidelines, and I'm also very sure that it's clearly stated in the IWA's code of conduct or rules or laws at the place. What I've always been in recent years on the lookout for athletes that dope. Now, taking power enhancing drugs just to boost your immune system and you think you are ignorant about it, I don't think it's an excuse. Now, what exactly is the part of the AFN, the delegate that led the team to Nigeria Olympics? Now, the medical team as well. I think in all of this, as a professional first, let's look at the angle of Blessing Okagbare. She has been in this sport long before now. You know some of the things that don't. On the other hand, the medical team that led to Nigeria to the Olympics, what role did they play? You cannot start crying foul of being ignorant of the rules that are very, very clearly written for you to see and come out to tell them, I'll do understand. Polo Toure took a banned sector and he gave an excuse that we never knew this and this, that and that. So nobody wants to hear that. And I think, well, at this point in time, we should just face the rule of the law. This will serve as a
then Stanley, I wonder, is a lifetime ban for first-time offenses the only way to curb this situation in athletics and in sports in general?
Maybe not. But then you have every right to appeal at the Court of Arbitration for Sport. But the laws are clearly stated there. You violate XYZ law, this is the punishment that will be meted out to you. So you have every point you have every right to appeal at the court of administrative court. A
Now,
first-time offender, the rules are there. First-time offender.
Stanley, for those who may not know, drugs like these that boost red blood cell production in the body allow for more oxygen to filter into the cells, which ultimately improves performance. Athletes are generally consistently having to improve upon the way they play or participate in sports because nutrition has changed, the way they train has changed, and some of the drugs they take, which are allowed, do help boost performance. Is there a possibility, very much so, that in the future, maybe near, maybe far, that even a drug like this will be standard use, considering how many athletes are getting into trouble because of it?
Now, for every what's it called now, athlete, he or she has a nutritionist that tells the athlete what to eat and what not to eat. The nutritionist also, having been certified, knows the rules. Now, he or she knows what to tell the athlete what to say to eat. But then, as I said, there are things that that the Blessing of Calvary was not aware of the fact that those exercises were banned. I think it's not cogent. It's not germane. And there's nobody who will tell a professional athlete like Blessing of Calvary coming out to say, I never knew, I took this out of ignorance. I am sorry. As far as I'm concerned, I will not listen. So, like I said, and like you said, Jonathan, being a first offender is not the case. It is
All right.
clearly stated there that having violated XYZ rule will take total number years to establish this amount of a ban. If it's a live ban, like I said, you have every right to go to the court of appeal. You can appeal.
All right, all right. Not a lot of sympathy for Blessing from different corridors. So we move now to Catalonia. Barcelona will be able to play in front of capacity crowds from Friday. The regional government confirmed as it lifted restrictions that have limited fan numbers at the Camp Nou Stadium due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Catalonia's regional president, Pere Aragonés, said in a news conference on Tuesday, October 12th, that outdoor sporting venues will be able to be at 100% capacity. Barcelona have not been able to play in front of a capacity crowd since football was first shut down in March 2020 due to the pandemic. A crowd of up to 99,354 will be able to watch Ronald Koeman's Barcelona side host Valencia on Sunday with the Clásico against rivals Real Madrid taking place at the Camp Nou on October 24th. Spain's central government lifted restrictions on outdoor sporting venues on October 1. However, Catalonia chose not to lift the allowed capacity above 60% before Tuesday's announcement. The move also means that Barca's city rivals and fellow La Liga outfit Espanyol, who beat Real Madrid 2-1 last time out, will also be able to sell out their 40,000 RCDE stadium. American tailor Fritz scored one of the biggest wins of his career after beating fifth seed Marco Berrettini to reach the round of 16 at the Indian Wells on Tuesday, October 12th. Fritz won in straight sets, 6-4, 6-3, and next faces another Italian in Jannik Sinner, who advanced with a walkover win against John Isner. Russia's Karen Khachanov was also a straight sets winner, ousting Pablo Carreno Buster of Spain 6-0, 6-4. Stanley, the game is so full of talents these days. The men's tennis doesn't seem to be lacking future greats. What did you think about this Fritz match?
Well, first, I think tennis has transited from what it was to what it is now. The era of the children, the Federer, Sampras, and the Agassi. I think if this great tennis player were still around and said they would not have dominated now the way they dominated then. Now, having said that, I think for the likes of Danny Medvedev, Stefano Tsitsipas, our next of the Jones is stronger, the museum, Rublev, these guys are energetic, athletic tennis players that would always give the older ones, the experienced ones, a run for their money. So, on that premise, I think players like Paddy and the Bully, who I think would have lived up to the billing if not for the damage he had on the left leg. But then, that's not an excuse. Like you know, it's inevitable as far as injury is concerned. So, I still want to sit down and enjoy the best of things. I've
But
decided
you
not
know,
to always set my neck out to uh, rather
uh,
put my neck out to say one certain player will get the better of the other because in recent years, or
Stanley,
rather in recent times, that's cost me a whole lot of money.
Stanley, with the likes of Berrettini, Tsitsipas, Zverev, Medvedev, all these men's tennis players, all on the consistently being talked about as the heirs apparent to the Nadal and Federers and Djokovic. When upsets like these can still happen to these sorts of players, does that mean we're unlikely to see a continuous, persistent dominance by any one of them for up to a year, like we have seen with the Nadals and the Federers and the Djokovic? Or are they still just learning learning the game so, to reach that level that they can individually be dominant?
Well, if you look at women's tennis, let me come from the angle of women's tennis. Serena Williams dominated, won 23 Grand Slam, tried as much as possible to equal the record of, set by what's her name now? What's her name now? I'll remember later. Now, the truth is, we've seen tennis players grow, do the rank, and the level of competition in the women's tennis won't make you say one tennis player will get the better of the other. It's been more competitive in the women's category. Now, coming back to the men's tennis, Danny Medvedev, Stefano Tsitsipas, and Rublev, and the like, Dominic Thiem, may not dominate the way Roger Federer, Rafa Nadal, and Novak Djokovic has dominated the world of men's tennis. It will be more competitive when these guys leave the field. And that's why I said the Robert Rodriguez of this world and the other things of this world, the Templars of this world, will not dominate in this open era of competitive tennis. As far as it's concerned.
From one tennis tournament to another, tennis players planning to compete in the Australian Open at Melbourne Park should get vaccinated for COVID-19 to give themselves the best chance of playing the Grand Slam, an Australian government official has said. Victoria State, of which Melbourne is the capital, has introduced a vaccine mandate for all professional athletes. But authorities have yet to clarify whether athletes from overseas or other Australian states must also vaccinate. Victoria Sports Minister Martin Pakula urged players to leave no room for doubt. If I was an ATP or WTA player, I'd be getting vaccinated, Pakula told local radio station Sen. That will give them the best opportunity to play in the Australian Open with the more minimal restrictions that might be in place for those people. Both the women's WTA and men's ATP tours have urged players to get vaccinated, but some have expressed reservations, including Australian Open men's champion Novak Djokovic, who is opposed to vaccine mandates. Tennis Australia, which organizes the Grand Slam, has not disclosed any arrangements for players for the upcoming tournament in January. But fully vaccinated players are expected to enjoy more freedoms to move around and maybe to avoid the country's mandatory 14-day quarantine upon arrival. Australia's borders remain effectively shut to non-residents, and Pakula said he did not know whether unvaccinated people would be allowed to enter the country by the time the Australian Open, which starts January 17th. Stanley, this could spell potential problems for tennis players who want to participate but are opposed to vaccine mandates, are opposed to having the vaccine at all? Are we likely to
Well,
miss out?
the first, you cannot say as I'm completely left the team. Now, remember, this year, the Australian Open was the first tennis Grand Slam we had. And before then, we were a bit skeptical and scared if the event, if the game would go down. But eventually, it seemed it went, and I thought we started success. Having said that, that actually gave reasons or right to the hosting of the US Open, the French Open, and of course the SW19, like we chose to call it. But then if you say it's mandatory now to get vaccinated before you play at the Australian Open, I'm sure it's because the organizers or the Australian government don't want an issue or a short in rising cases of the COVID-19 pandemic. Whether you like it or not, it's still ravaging the world. The global economy is still yet to completely recover from the loss that's recorded as far as the effect of COVID-19 is concerned. What about playing by the rules? If you know you cannot play by the rules, then most definitely you would not be part of the Australian Open, and every player to be part of the Australian Open at this point. So they have no choice than to play by the rules.
Well, this mandate, if it does prevent these athletes from participating, could we potentially see other competitions around the world, other organizers in France, in England, with the Wimbledon, for example, making such a mandate as well?
It should be said, if you want to enjoy sport activity or sporting activity as a sportsman or woman, you just have to play by the rules. The rules are there. Whatever the Australian government has seen, whatever the ATP organizers have seen, or the BTA organizers have seen, has warranted that all players must be vaccinated. They are the ones hosting you. If you don't play, the world will not know you. And look at our now. If the fans
Well,
want to see Iliman Djokovic play, it's because they know he's one of the biggest players. And if you,
Stanley,
on the
Stanley,
basis of that, you know you'll
Stanley,
be making a lot of money,
St-
like what we call
Stanley. I want to go to another story which is along the same lines because mandates are becoming a thing. It is now a government policy in the United States and potentially now will affect many sports and activities. Brooklyn Nets Kyrie Irving will not be allowed to play or practice with the team until he is eligible to be a full participant. The NBA franchise said on Tuesday amid the continuing fallout over the guard's COVID-19 vaccination status. Irving, who has refused to reveal his COVID-19 vaccination status, was forced to sit out the Nets' first preseason home game last week against the Milwaukee Bucks as he was listed as ineligible by the team. A New York City mandate requires proof of at least one shot of the COVID-19 vaccine to enter large indoor spaces such as stadiums or arenas. The Nets begin their regular season on the road next week. Now, Stanley, along the lines of what we were just talking about, the rules are the
Yeah.
rules, but should they impose mandates that interfere with personal freedoms, even as athletes?
Um, I think Kyrie Irving is one great basketballer that would be missed. The United States is one country that was badly hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, like you said about tennis players going to the Australian Open, Kyrie Irving has no choice to get vaccinated because whether you like it or not, even in tennis, Novak Djokovic contracted the virus. Some other big names, Harry Debala in football contracted the virus. Some Valencia players also fell prey to the COVID-19 pandemic. But when they saw,
But
the first
Stanley,
thing they saw,
Stanley,
they were able to
the
conquer the vaccine. So I think
likelihood,
that Kyrie Irving is also policy.
Stanley,
It's
with
not a
if these
president.
athletes are that insistent that they are not going to take these vaccines and they're not going to bend their will to the mandates, are we looking at the potential that some of these athletes will have to give up their careers?
Well, they have no choice. Now, because it's the same sport that has brought them to the limelight. Now, if you decide to put an end to your playing career as a result of that, then arrogance too. Like I'm saying this part of the world, being try to be stubborn, to want to hold the ground or stand the ground, you make your point. You cannot beat the law. You cannot beat the law. The law is there, and it's for the safety of you and I. To contract the virus, some people are not as really strong like maybe like only Scott like Stanley. Now, if it's on the basis of that, and I think everybody should understand that it's all for the protection and the safety of life.
All right. And on that, Stanley, I say thank you. Thank you for joining me on Plus
All,
Sports.
all day, every day. Thank you so much for having me once again.
And to everybody at home and at work, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. I am Mikhail Tinubu, and this has been Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa. Remember, life is never boring with some sports.